Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां. We are seeing this verse number, where are we? So it started from sixth verse. Indriyana, we are in Kathopanishad, chapters, part 3, part 2, chapter 3, or chapter 6 of the total. Indriyanam pruthak bhavam udayastamayau chayata pruthak utpadyamananam matva dhiro na shochati. When we come to know the knowledge of the self, we are pursuing the knowledge of the self, or want to realize the self, we are raising ourselves within ourselves. We are leaving the virtual me, I am leaving the illusory me, and I am coming to the actual one that I am. This is the growth, this is the maturity, this is the wisdom. That growth and wisdom will not come if I allow my mind to become multi-pointed. If I allow my mind to become worldly oriented, it will never get that wisdom. Only when it goes to something greater, higher, more expansive, only then. And what is that most expansive, is the self. And it is told that this self, don't search it anywhere, don't search it in the mirror. Searching in the mirror means searching the self objectively as a thought. Don't search it in the mirror. You are that. It is your it is you. It is your nature. It is your essence. And where can you experience it? You can experience it or be it. When can it reveal it? We are using the word experience it. It's an experienceless experience. It is a knowingless knowing. So when will it reveal? Only when tomorrow. Will it reveal tomorrow? No, after the class. We'll come a bit closer. No, here and now. And what is the process for that? These 3 verses were told. Indriyanam pruthak bhavam udayastamayau chayata pruthak utpadyamananam matva dhiro na shochati. And this atma, this self, is other than the indriyas. The wise man knows that, and it is separate from the senses, and it is, what is that? And the one who knows that the self, Indriyan Pruthak means separate. It is separate from the Indriyas. The Udayas Tamayau Chayata. Udayas Tamayau means that, and what is the nature of the Indriyas? And here Indriyas means senses, and technically we don't say there is only 5 senses. We say there is a 6th sense also, which is the mind. Not the 6th sense, oh, I have a 6th sense that I'm going to get pizza today. That is not the 6th sense. That is, the 6th sense is your mind. And here it says, udayastamayo, the nature of the senses, all the six senses, is involvement and withdrawal, involvement and withdrawal, rising and falling, rising and falling. They rise above in waking and dream, they fall into deep sleep. And this way, this continuous flux is going on at all these six senses. Udayastamauchayata pruthak utpadyamananam matva dhiro na shochati. And what is that? And they appear and disappear, and the one who knows the self to be separate from all this continuous flux alone knows. He is the wise man. And having said that, now he is qualifying what he has just said. And what is he saying? He says, Indriyebhya param mano manasa sattvam sattvadadhi mahanatma mahato avyaktam. It says that beyond, greater than the senses, now we are talking about the five senses, greater than the five senses is the mind. So, or you can say beyond. So, whatever is beyond has to be finer, has to be subtler, has to be more expansive, has to be greater in its scope and ability. See? So senses can see only that which is outside the senses. Correct? Why the mind is greater than the senses? Because the mind can see the form as well as the vision within itself in the dream. Therefore it is greater. Both it is. It is your knowledge that your mind alone became the world, dream world also, and your mind became your senses also. But here you cannot say that I am the my senses are there and the world is also my senses. You cannot say that. Even though that is the truth, but that is not your experience. So here it is told, greater, beyond the senses is the mind. Beyond the mind, sattvam uttamam. Beyond that is the purified intellect. So our intellect can be corrupted also. Sattva is another word for buddhi. Why it is called sattva? Because, see, I got 4 lights on the roof and I got a lamp right next to me. Those 4 lights on the roof, they are the general light which is illuminating the whole room, including the book that I am reading and the pages that I am reading. But within that general light, there is this specific light which is brighter. So there is one general light on this table and the book, but this specific light, this table lamp is creating a sharper, more concentrated light which is more brighter than the other general light. Correct? You understand this much part? So what happens when you take a magnifying glass? There is sunlight everywhere. But when you take the magnifying glass, that same sunlight which is everywhere becomes focused and comes out in a concentrated manner, isn't it? Through a magnifying glass. It becomes, and it can burn. We used to burn papers. We used to light cigarettes like that because nobody will give us the matchbox. So sattva. So why do we call intellect the sattva? It is the mind. That part of the mind where the light is very specific, light is very bright. That part is called the intellect, sattva. So why the light of consciousness is not reflecting in the rest of the mind? Why is it not? because it's not refined enough. It may be tamasic, it may be rajasic, it may be dull, inert, or it may be too dynamic. So what is sattva? Sattva means it is pure. So how do you make something pure? When you take a stone, you keep rubbing it against and put some water, put some sand and keep rubbing it, rubbing. After some time, it becomes like a mirror. Depends what type of stone. You can't take terracotta and try to, it will not happen. So if you take a granite or anything, you can keep rubbing and it will become refined. Now what will happen? It will become slightly, not maybe completely like mirror, but something, little bit you can see reflection. Same stone, same type of stone which has not been polished, it cannot reflect anything, but this polished stone is able to reflect. Similarly, that mind which is not, that part of the mind which is not able to reflect is called mind, and that part which is able to reflect the consciousness is called as sattva, is called as buddhi. So what is our buddhi? Our buddhi is thinking about this, that, everything. Our buddhi is right now thinking about these verses, trying to understand, trying to imbibe, trying to consolidate. Still data is there. Yes, it may be better data than the outside world because it is talking about the self, but still it is lot of data. See? Sattvam. So here it is still rajasic because thoughts are coming again and again and again. When you come to silence, there it is. Sattvam uttamam, that is the best intellect, which is sattvic in its nature. It is greater than the mind. Mind by nature is fickle. Intellect by nature should be discriminative. But we don't, we use that discrimination ability of the intellect for unwanted, for the world. And we know what the definition of discrimination is. What is it? Between real and unreal, between constant and changing, between infinite and finite, between changeless and changing. This is discrimination. Discrimination is not Chinese or pizza. This is not discrimination. Man or woman. This is not discrimination. Rich or poor. This is not discrimination. We may call it, it is relative discrimination, but that is not going to help. In Upanishads, that low we never fall. Discrimination has only one definition, between the real and the unreal. And that intellect which is discriminating between the real and unreal is the sattvic intellect. Is this sattvam uttamam. And then after that, sattva dadhi mahan atma, greater than the individual intellect, pure individual intellect, where the reflection of the self is almost similar. Just like when your mirror is clean, the reflection is almost what you are. Then what is greater? What could be greater than that? Mahan Atma. It is the total intellect. So, another way of putting it is Sattvam Uttamam. Sattvam is the individual soul. And Mahan Atma is the total soul, the great soul. What is soul? Individual soul. What is individual soul? Consciousness identified with limited memories. Limited means only concerning this particular form. Who is Brahmaji, the super soul or the great soul, the total soul, who is identified with all the memories of all the people in their as they are and not affected by them. See? So sattvadadhi mahanatma mahato avyaktam uttamam. And what is greater than the great soul? What is greater than the total intellect? Greater than the total intellect is the unmanifest, the total unmanifest. Call it Shakti, call it Devi, call it force, call it Maya, different words. So, avyaktam uttamam. So, greater than. So, what is the sequence now? Greater. I am adding this extra bit. Greater than the world is the senses. Greater than the senses is the mind. Greater and more expansive than the mind is the intellect. Greater and more expansive than the intellect is the total intellect. Greater and more expansive than the total intellect is the unmanifest. Continuing till here, we till 7th we saw, no? We did 7th. Now we have to. Did we? We did. Now we are on the 8th verse. The journey is continuing. What is greater than the total unmanifest? Because what is individual unmanifest? Tell me, what is individual unmanifest? Deep sleep is individual unmanifest. What is total unmanifest? Avyakta, the Maya Shakti, the Yoga Shakti. See? Now, what could be greater than her? Here it says, Avyakta parah purusho, Avyakta parah purusho, Vyapako linga evacha, Vyapako linga evacha, Yam nyatva muchyate jantuhu, Yam nyatva muchyate jantuhu, Amrutatvam cha gacchati, Amrutatvam cha gacchati. Together, Avyakta parah purusho, Vyapako linga evacha, Yam nyatva muchyate jantuhu, Amrutatvam cha gacchati. Greater and more expansive than the unmanifest Prakriti. Another word for it is Prakriti. Prakriti is the Purushaha. Today is what? What is the day today? Rama Navami. It is the birthday of Sri Ram. Sri Ram, in essence, is the Parama Purushaha. Who is Sita Ji? Sita Ji, when we study Adhyatma Ramayana, she is the total unmanifest. Now, don't keep that. That we must apply in ourselves. Our mind is the unmanifest Shakti, because that mind alone goes into deep sleep, and that mind alone becomes the manifest. And this journey was told till unmanifest, from senses to mind to intellect to total intellect to unmanifest, to see how deep, what is the way back, from where have I come? What is dependent on what? How are you living? You are living as a dependent on the center link. You are living as a dependent on family. You are living as a dependent on your house. If I don't have the house, so today someone was telling me, Swami, how do you go out? People, we can't leave we were very attached to our house and our bed and our big house in this suburb, and we just put that on rent, and we bought a house somewhere else. And initially my wife was very attached to the house. She didn't want to leave the house. Now she also doesn't care, and she came here. She says, yeah, let's downsize. Take some time to downsize. This is downsizing outside. You have to downsize here. Declutter. It's not downsizing, it's decluttering. Declutter. All you have to do is shift delete, shift delete, shift delete, shift delete. And how do you do shift delete? Thinking in this manner. Don't just stay fixated on, I have come to the mind. Maximum you can go to is heaven if you think of mind. Then you come to the intellect. Oh, I can go into samadhi. Then you go into the total intellect. Then you get all the siddhis. But you are still susceptible to unmanifestation after a long, millions of years of life. That is the total soul or the total intellect. Because intellect is still Prakriti. What is greater than that? The unmanifest. So the cause of senses is the, again I'm putting it in different ways. The cause of senses is the mind. The cause of mind is the intellect. Because if the I is not expressing in the intellect, then nobody to own that there is a mind. The cause of the mind, of the intellect is the total intellect. And the cause of the total intellect is the unmanifest. What is the cause or what is greater than the total unmanifest? Here it says, avyaktat parah purushaha. Greater than avyakta, greater than the unmanifest is the purusha, the supreme person. To understand who is the supreme person, read the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Listen to that on the YouTube. But is that the person that we are talking about? What are its qualities? Is he? But we thought that the Purusha and Prakriti, they are husband and wife. Here you are saying he is greater. Then what do you mean that the avyakta, the maya, the female energy, is that lower? You can go, then you are not fit for studying Upanishads. Get out. If you think in that manner, you are not qualified. So, greater than the unmanifest, greater than the unmanifest Shakti, Maya, etc. Another word for it is Prakriti. Another word for it is ignorance. From knowledge point of view, it is called ignorance. From Ishvara point of view, it is called Prakriti. From Shiva's point of view, it is called Shakti. From Rama's point of view, it is called Sita. From Brahmaji's point of view, it is called Saraswati. From Vishnu's point of view, it is called Lakshmi. Like that. So everything is, with everyone, without her, the Purusha cannot express. But that does not mean Purusha is dependent on her. Without mind, you cannot think of the self. Right now we are thinking about the self, contemplating on the self. Without mind, we cannot contemplate on the self. But that does not mean self is a product of thinking. You are understanding what I am telling you? If you catch it, you are there right now. The self is independent of the thinking process that is going on. Vyapakaha linga evacha. And here it is told that Purusha, don't take it to be Vaishwanara, don't take that supreme person to be the Virat Purush, the one with the 1,000 Om Sahasra Shirsha Purusha Sahasraksha Sahasrapatsa Bhumim Sa Vishwato Vritva Atyatishtat Dashangulam. Or as Narayana or as Lord Shiva, don't give him a form. Here it is said, alinga evacha. It is without any qualities, it is without any form, it is without any attributes. Normally, in our daily life, in our the way we are made up at the moment, if we have not changed our thinking, then everything is the the if I see if I see some marks on the mouth of a child, I'll say, or I see the child licking something, it's going on. From that, what do we infer? That she has eaten something. Then mother quickly will run, open her mouth. What did you eat? Did you eat the chocolate? Did you eat the mud? You should not eat that. She's enjoying. I ate the chocolate. Mummy is thinking mud. Far away. We always want to give some cause and effect, From far away on a journey, we are going and we see some smoke. We can't see the fire, but because there is a smoke, we come to realize that there must be fire, therefore there is smoke, isn't it? Can you see fire? No. So the ling from which the sign, ling means the sign from with which you recognize that which you cannot see is called ling. Just like smoke, you can't see the fire, but you come to this conclusion that the smoke is there because there is fire. Without fire, the smoke cannot come. So same way, where this creation has come, we want to, because everything is cause and effect, cause and effect, cause and effect. So here in our mind also, what is there, so we are giving. The senses have come from the mind is greater than the mind is the intellect is part of the total intellect is the part of the unmanifest, and the unmanifest is part of the Purusha. Why did we come till this way? Why did we think this way? Because you are taking the world to be real. You are taking your senses to be real. You are taking your thoughts, the mind and intellect to be real. So we need to give you some way of thinking so that you dissolve yourself. We insist on being the individual, you see. That insistence is creating all the problem. Until that insistence from wanting to be someone and somebody, if that insistence is on, I want to be nobody and everybody, then there may be, then you will think in this manner. See? So here it says, the one who knows it in this way becomes yam nyatva muchyate jantuhu. Any living being who knows this secret, what we have in last 3, 6th, 7th and 8th, amrutatvam cha gacchati, such a person attains to immortality. He conquers death while living. So you all conquered death right now. How can you say that, sir? Because I told that 5 seconds ago and you continue to live. So that means you are still alive. You have not died. If your attention went to the conscious principle as we were explaining the whole thing, from senses to mind to intellect to total intellect to unmanifest, and you are thinking, yeah man, all this is there. What could be the Supreme Person? What could be that Supreme? You are thinking of that Supreme Person which cannot be seen, which cannot be known, which cannot be objectified, which is not other, which has never been other than you. where do I look? Where do I look? You're taking everything away from me. You have taken the senses away, you have taken the mind away, you have taken the intellect away, you have taken the total intellect, you have taken even the absence away. Now, where do I look? Stop looking, because the more you look, the more eventually you will again start imagining. Be content. Stop searching. But spirituality, I am a seeker, sir. I have to seek. Seeking is only up to a point. After that, you have to stop. You do all the activity to reach the bed. After getting into the bed, you don't stop preparing for sleep for the whole night. Then you surrender yourself to the to sleep, isn't it? You become activity-less. So you prepare mind, senses, mind, intellect, total intellect, avyakta. Now don't keep seeking. In that avyakta is the total absence. Total absence. That total absence is not separate to the individual absence. Just like the total space is not separate to the individual house space, isn't it? Remain awake. That when there is nothing to associate with, including void or absence, you're not calling absence as absence. Or if you want to say there is absence and you call it that unmanifest, if your attention is on the Purusha principle, then unmanifest you will bypass and land in the self. Or another option is, when the silence comes about as a result of this contemplation, remain in silence without expecting anything. No desire. The self will reveal at that moment. This is the verse. So let's see what the verse Bhashya says. Avyaktātu parah purushah vyapakah vyapakasya api akashadehe sarvasya karanatvat. Greater and more holy, we can say more holy, more expansive, more wonderful than the unmanifest is the Supreme Person. And it is Purusha Vyapakaha Vyapakasya api Akashadehe. Just like space is pervading everything in this creation, inside and outside, that space is pervaded by this Purusha. Which means he is even more expansive than the space. So here when it says Akashadi, Akashadi means Akashadehe, it is plural, meaning space, air, fire, water, earth. This is our direct experience. They are quite more expansive than we have ever come across anything that is physical. So even more. So as we go, this is again lay prakriya. Just like we are going from senses to mind to intellect to total intellect to unmanifest to Purusha. Similarly, you go from earth, more pervasive than the earth is water, more pervasive than the water is fire, more pervasive than the fire is air, more pervasive than the air is space. And where is space? Only on the earth? No, it is in the entire cosmos. More pervasive than the entire cosmic space is your mental space. More pervasive than the mental space is the conscious space. That conscious space is called the Purusha here. See? and it is alingaha. One moment. One 56, 157. Alingaha lingyate gamyate yena tallingam buddhyadi tad vidyamanamasyeti. So ayam saha ayam linga eva. So here it is said that, and it is alinga. It is without any form, without, alinga means all these three, without any form, without any qualities, without any attributes. By anything, when, because of which something can be come to known. Just like I gave you the example, from the smoke we came to know the fire, which was not seen by our physical eyes. It was an inference. If I see a mother with a child, I infer there must be a father. See? If I see ants, I infer there is some food around, crumbs lying around on the kitchen bench, therefore the ants have come. If I see a mouse in the house, then I infer cat is not doing its job. So like that, this is inference we are talking about. So that by which we infer the various things, we come to know everything. So what is that by which we come to know different things? Example, by the vision, with the eyes, we can see the various colors as form. So this is a ling, this is a form. This is a ling, the ear is a ling. It can hear the sounds. Intellect is a ling. We can come to know that there is waking, dream, deep sleep. We can make decisions. We can have convictions. We can come to know something is or something is not. See? So that is called as ling. But in the Supreme Person, there is absence of all this knowing. There is absence of all this knowing. But we said that this Supreme Person is Satchidanand Swarup. This Supreme Person is the existence, consciousness, bliss. Consciousness means knowledge, and now you are saying that it doesn't know. I am thinking questions which you might be having in your mind, and I'm thinking these questions. If you are not thinking, now you will start thinking. Both. So how come? Knowledge of something is always by intellect. But this Supreme Person, it cannot know anything. It cannot have knowledge of anything. Why? It is of the nature of knowledge. Oh, it is of the nature of knowledge. And we already saw Vyapaka. It is all pervasive. There is no, everywhere it is. There is nothing outside it. So how will he come to know everything objectively? Not possible. See. So, in other words, this alinga vastu, this Supreme Person or Supreme Self, in it, mind, intellect, memory, senses, all these are absent. In the self, all these are absent. Just like in the total waters, waves are absent. Like in the gold, the ornaments are absent from gold's point of view, from the water point of view. And therefore, it is called alinga, unattached, or as we have explained what alinga means. And therefore, nothing sticks to it. There's no, he has to do this or he doesn't have to do this. He is free from righteousness and unrighteousness. Where are we caught? Just now one lady called me, just 10 minutes before the class began. Swamiji, I've been thinking of coming to Kailash, but I got a daughter who is 9 years old and I got a young son who is only 3.5 years old. My husband says, darling, go. While you are young, you go. And then I called my mother, Mummy, I'm going. And she blasted me that, how can you be so selfish? How can you go by leaving your kids alone? I spent my whole life taking care of you and I never thought, this is how they put the guilt on the kids. I never thought. She must have thought, but she knows. Because husband did not support and she dare not think in those terms or put it in front of him in the olden times. But today's husbands are very cooperative. So she says, Swamiji, can you speak to my husband is agreeing, but can you speak to my mother also? See? So here what is happening? What is my dharma? Am I doing the right thing? Till she had not told her mother, the only doubt she was having, is it the right thing that I am doing? Is it not wrong being a mother? I should leave my children alone and just because I want to go to Kailash. I said, do you want to go to Kailash or is he calling you? What is this alinga vastu? What is this Supreme Person, the Supreme Atma, the Supreme Self? It is where there is no righteousness and no unrighteousness. Nothing to do, nowhere to go. Nothing to achieve, nothing not to achieve. It is complete. Incompletion only comes when duality comes about. But it is all that there is. And because it is all that there is no reference point for it. There is no reference point for it. Therefore, when there is no reference, then there cannot be any intellect. When there is no other, then there cannot be any mind for feeling the emotions. That is alinga. Sarva sansara dharma varjita iti etata. This is the sarva sansara dharma varjita. So it is free from all dharmas, all righteous and unrighteousness. It has got nothing to do or achieve or because it's complete. That which is complete doesn't need to do anything. Continuing. यम ज्ञात्वा आचार्यतः शास्त्रतः च मुच्यते जन्तुः अविद्यादि हृदय ग्रन्थिभिः जीवनम् एव पतितेऽपि शरीरे अमृतत्वं च गच्छति सोलिंगः सः अलिंगः परः अव्यक्तात् पुरुष इति पूर्वेणैव संबंधः. And this alinga vastu, this formless, attributeless, qualityless one, we are calling it, what do we call? Shiva Linga, isn't it? Atma Linga, Jyotirlinga. But what are you adding to the Jyoti? Linga? Jyoti. It is in the form of the light. Atmalinga, you are calling it as the self within. Again, reference is there. Atma. You cannot talk of Atma if there is no body. Talk I'm talking about. It is self-existing. But what is its nature? Infinite. What are you saying? Atma. Only in this body. It is Paramatma by nature. So when wave is focused only on the water in its form, will call it Atma. When it is focused on the total waters of the ocean, because it has to imagine something great. So ocean, then it is thinking of the Lord. When it is thinking of the infinite waters, then it is the Paramatma. So here it says, so by knowing this, the acharyas, how do they come to know this? Through the Shastra, through the scriptures, and after knowing it. So Shastra studies of the scriptures is important. Upanishad itself is saying, Shankaracharya is saying in the commentary, that they come to know it while studying the scriptures. Why? If you keep listening to the scriptures, studying the scriptures, going over and over again, automatically the maturity comes, the wisdom comes, something starts sticking here and there, and someday by grace, suddenly you become, even while everything is going on, you are abiding, the self is revealing every moment. And that is what is said here, that the acharyas, through the shastras, they come to know this Purusha. And when they come to know this Purusha while living, not posthumously, not after death, while living, and here it says, Muchyate Jantuhu, they become free. How do they become free? Avidyadi Hridaya Granthi Bihi Jivaneva Patita Api. So, Avidya Granthi, what is the Granthi? What is the knot? In our scriptures, the knot is called avidya kama karma. It is a knotless knot. I have showed you this before many times. If I don't have anything here. So you take a thread and you put it around and you can see the knot. But if you pull the two ends, it just comes off. So actually it was only a thread, but your attention is on the knot. Similarly, what is a wave? It is a knot in the waters. But is that a knot? No, it is water. Before, during and after, it is water only. But it appears as a wave. That wave is the knot. Ornament is the knot. Pot is the knot. But actually nothing has happened, yet you see something happening. And as a seeker, when we think about this, so the knot of individuality, why individuality has precipitated in place of infinity? Because I don't know the infinity. Therefore, something has to happen, so I become individual. Why? I choose to be only this body. The moment I choose to be only this body, the individuality descends in place of infinity or totality. See? So it's so what is creation? Creation is a very big knot. So just like a knot is existing in its own absence, wave is existing in its own absence, similarly the whole creation is a big knot which is existing in its own absence. Then what is there? Only Parama Purusha is there. The Supreme Person is there. A linga. So, by studying the scriptures, we come to know it, and as a result, first we become free. We automatically, I have to do this, I don't have to do this. I should be God oriented. I have to do this puja, I have to do that puja. Otherwise, paap lagega, I will be committing a sin. No, get out of all this. No karma. Then we come to desire. Okay, desire is there. Shift the desire to the infinite. I want to know the infinite. Mumukshutvam. And as long as I'm thinking, and how will you, okay, I've got a desire to be free, to be liberated, to be immortal. How to study the scriptures? Be engaged with them day in and day out. Then what will happen? Avidya. What was avidya? Another name for avidya. Avidya is at individual level. At totality level, what it is called? Avyakta, unmanifest. Ignorance at the individual level and unmanifestation at the totality level. See, it's existing in its own absence. It's not avidya. There is nothing called avidya. There is nothing called ignorance. There is nothing called anything. We are talking from Upanishad point of view. Upanishadic vision is the Vedantic vision. There is only one. Ekameva dvitiya nanasti kinchana. There is only one, and other than one there is nothing else. Then, sir, how can you call it one? We stupid people are calling it one. Because you are studying the scriptures, so we have to say it one. But it is one without a second. And the one who comes to know that one without any support, without any reference, Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati. He merges into that one reality while living. And while living, he becomes immortal, attains immortality. See? And then it says, Patitepi sharire amritatvam cha gacchati. And he is, so this is very, very important or insignificant point, because we have to get there first. And that is, by study of scripture, you can be absolutely clear that you are the infinite consciousness, and you live in that, you be that infinite consciousness. And when does this person know it? While living. And when this body falls, has done its job of this life, and it expires, the consciousness, the person, the one who knows, he's living in that knowledge, being that conscious, infinite consciousness, he becomes liberated, never to take birth again. See? And such a person is a linga. Now, he doesn't need a body to be. I just stop there. And that is your truth right now also. And as a result, he is even beyond the unmanifest. Because after the body is there, what will you say? Now there is no body. What happened to the soul? That soul, we moved from soul, individual soul, to total soul. From total soul, we went to the Supreme Person. That Supreme Person does not come into existence and does not go out of existence. The total soul, Brahmaji, he comes into manifestation and he goes out of manifestation. Individual fellow also comes into manifestation, goes out of manifestation. Stupidly we call it birth and death, but that is not the case. Soul never dies, only body changes. Then what is the journey? To dissolve the individual soul through, while you have the body, to raise yourself to the total soul, and from there take a leap and jump into the Paramapurusha, the Supreme Person, to be the Supreme Person. And where is this journey? Beyond the sky? No, within you. It's only either you accept yourself as a mother or you accept as a woman. Whether you accept as a content person or you accept yourself as a agitated person who is never satisfied with anything. Whether you accept yourself as a man or you accept yourself as a woman or you accept yourself as the self. Choice is yours. Choice is yours. Whether you accept yourself as attached to the world or detached to the world, choice is yours. Where is your attention? Choice is yours. So we made the choice to come to the scriptures, the Upanishads, and Upanishads are guiding us. Be choiceless. From choice, go to choicelessness. And choicelessness is only possible when you reach this supreme destination. And in that supreme destination, there is no place for individual, there is no place for total, there is no place for unmanifest, because it is all that there is. बोलो सियावर रामचंद्र की जय. देखो मजेदार. So he is even beyond the avyakta. Avyakta is total absence. Total unmanifest is equal to total absence, total nothingness, total emptiness, total silence. It's even beyond that. And what is that? That is the conscious silence, the conscious emptiness. That is that. That is you. When you can recognize tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam, chitta vritti nirodha iti yogaha tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam. So when they say chitta vritti nirodha iti yogaha, you have come to the total unmanifest, or even individual unmanifest, wherever your attention is. But then after that, don't stay in the silence, looking, now what, now where do I go? Now what is the next step that I have to do? No. Tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam. You are the consciousness in whose presence the manifestation and unmanifestation is going on. The flux is going on in your presence. Be that presence. And the moment you be that presence, even the unmanifest loses its hold. Because then you are going beyond duality. सह अलिंगः परः अव्यक्तात् पुरुष इति पूर्वेण एव संबंधः. So in this manner, connect this verse with the previous two verses and then understand it. Then understand the relationship between the three verses. It's a complete thought. कथं तर्हि लिंगस्य दर्शनम् उपपद्यत इति उच्यते. Then Katham? Now the student is asking the question. Which student? Not Nachiketa. Huh? Or maybe Jnanesh, our Shankaracharya is living that moment where this dialogue is happening in front of his eyes with Nachiketa and the Lord of Death in front of him. And a natural consequence of this thought will be this question. But how that which does not have any symptom, that which does not have any form, that which does not have any sign, how will I come to know him? Our problem is objectification, isn't it? I want to think of I also as I thought. I am, I am, I am, I am. Aham asmi, aham asmi, aham asmi. But here you are saying, I can't think about it, I can't, there is no sign by which I can come to know him. It is alinga. Just like the sign of the Tiranga Jhanda, the flag of India with the chakra in the middle, is the ling for the whole India. It represents the whole India. So what is that sign which represents, by which we can come to know? So the moment we see in Olympics all the flags there, the moment we see the Indian flag, our country is there. If the winner, the gold fellow is the one who's got the gold is Indian, immediately the Janagana Mana Jaya He, it begins, immediately we stand up. We recognize either through the flag, either through the sound, some way of recognizing it, coming to know it. But here there is nothing. It has got no color, no form, no sound, no smell, no feeling, no conviction, no inference, no cause effect. How do I come to know? Is it possible even to know something like this? I think you're just taking me for a ride, Yamraji. I asked you a very important question and you brought me to a point where I am doubting whether you are telling me the right answer or not, because you have come to this point and you are telling me there is no sign. न सन्दृशे तिष्ठति रूपमस्य न चक्षुषा पश्यति कश्चनैनम्. Repeat. न सन्दृशे तिष्ठति रूपमस्य न चक्षुषा पश्यति कश्चनैनम्. हृदा मनीषा मनसाभिवृप्तो हृदा मनीषा मनसाभिवृप्तो य एतद्विदुरमृतास्ते भवन्ति य एतद्विदुरमृतास्ते भवन्ति. न सन्दृशे तिष्ठति रूपमस्य न चक्षुषा पश्यति कश्चनैनम्. हृदा मनीषा मनसाभिवृप्तो य एतद्विदुरमृतास्ते भवन्ति. Remember those who studied Kathopanishad with me just few months ago? There, when Indra goes to see the Yaksha Purusha, he sees the grass, he feels he just saw a glimpse, but then it goes away. He says, I thought I saw something. And he was so keen to know that what it is, because he's the king of the heaven, so his mind is more pure, focused. And at that time, who comes and tells him who it is? The Uma comes. And he falls at her. He says, but who was that? He says, he's the unknowable. In heavens, it is the unknowable. It is the Supreme Person. When it comes to totality, he is the Narayana or the Shiva. For us, he is the Virat Purusha. But in essence, he cannot be known, alinga. So there also, it came to alinga. The blade of grass was hanging in the in the space. He couldn't see who was holding it. See, you infer because you are seeing colors and forms, so you infer, I must be having eyes, or I have eyes. I can hear the sounds, oh, my ears are good. Only when some problem comes, what are you saying? What are you saying? What did you say? Then I know, some problem with my this linga. Isn't it? When the mind loses the plot, we become suicidal. When it is integrated, it searches for something greater. Think. So here he is saying, न सन्दृशे तिष्ठति रूपमस्य. This Supreme Person, this alinga vastu, it cannot be, or this Atma cannot be seen by the vision. He does not stay in one place because he is everywhere. Something will stay and go. If something comes, now you have come in front of me, I can see. After some time, you will go away. But how can I see something which is always and has got no form? How can I see it? I'm thinking loudly here. I don't know how he is taking in front. We say, oh, but like that, there is space also. I can't, the space has got no form, but I see the space. No, but you have used the space. You say space is because 11 Wolseley Avenue. The space is occupied by this body. Therefore, I say, this is me. Occupying this much space. But that which does not have a form, does not have a symptom. So here he is saying, here first, na sandruse tishtati rupamasya, this Atma or Paramatma cannot be, is not a object for your vision to see. It cannot be illumined by your vision. Na chakshusha pashyati kaschanainam. It cannot be seen by the eyes. Hruda manisha manasa bhivarupto. This can only come to know. Come to know means come to be contemplated upon. Senses are too gross to. Senses have got no understanding. They are just illuminators. That's it. This light is only illuminating this scripture. This camera is only recording what I am telling. But can the camera understand what I am talking? Can the light understand what we are reading? It is illuminating all the words, but it cannot. Why? It is inert. It is not refined enough. It's too gross. So senses are too gross. They are only dependent on the stimuli. There is no understanding. What about mind? Is there understanding in the mind? Mind is also too fickle to understand. It's too erratic. Sometimes seeing, sometimes hearing, sometimes, because stimuli are continuously coming to the mind from all the five senses, and it doesn't know what to do. When it doesn't know what to do, it doesn't take a chill pill and take a deep breath. Life is too much. I can't handle this. Because there is something greater behind the mind. What is that? Intellect. If that intellect has not been trained, then you are a gone case. But if that intellect, training of the intellect is that intellect is not employed only to think about the world through the mind and the senses. Instead, what? The intellect is employed, utilized to think, contemplate, meditate on the higher. So, who made the decision? Greater than the senses is the mind, greater than the mind is the intellect, greater than the intellect is the total intellect, greater than the total intellect is the unmanifest, greater than unmanifest is the alinga, the atma, the supreme person. Did the senses understand this? Not possible. Did the mind understand? For the mind, it's only getting one thought after what is this going on? Greater, 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 greater. I'm getting confused. Please, please, please. Too many words. It does not know which file to put it in. It's like a minestrone soup. All the vegetables and things floating around. Just like buffet. There is Indian also, Chinese also, pizza also, pasta also, burger also, faluda, kulfi also. ये खाऊं के वो खाऊं के ये खाऊं के वो खाऊं. What should I eat? And while you decide, if you keep thinking about it, there's total confusion and you lose your hunger only. And you eat one French fry and come back home. The whole buffet was there. You didn't eat anything healthy because you are confused. You are overwhelmed by the variety because we didn't have control over our mind. Or you eat so much. Or I think I overate. Who asked you? Because the mind was gung ho, dived into the buffet, and the intellect could not stop the mind from enjoying its senses. So here it is told, if the intellect, here, Hruda Manisha Manasabhivrupto, and Atma is that by which that which controls, because of which the mind is, and only when we employ the buddhi and we use it for contemplation and meditation, then here it says that ya etad vidur amritaste manasa bhi vrupto, and when we use it properly, then the integration of the mind and the intellect happens. How does the mind get integrated with the intellect? I'm asking. How does mind get integrated with the intellect? Only when the intellect is contemplating on the truth, which is beyond all thinking, then alone the fickle mind, the multi-pointed mind will become integrated with the intellect. If the buddhi is worldly focused, mind will never integrate. You may feel, oh, I am integrated, that's why success is there, that's why peace is there, that's why everything is working out in my life. But the supreme person will not reveal. All that can happen because your attention is still in the world. You find yourself in the right place with the right people at the right time with the right circumstances. But where is your attention? In the right place, right space, right time, right. The world is still important. That is not integration. That is relatively, yes, relatively it is. But here in Upanishad, we are not talking about relative. We are going beyond relative. Samyak darshan, manasa vibhrupto means the mind dissolves. And that will only happen when the intellect is discriminating. Manasa vibhrupto. And how will the mind dissolve? Only through nididhyasana, only through contemplation and meditation. It will dissolve. And when it dissolves, uh, then it reveals. And how does it reveal? It reveals immediately. It reveals, the self alone can reveal the self. It is not that the intellect is revealing the self. It is not that the mind and intellect have integrated. Now they can see the self. No, they cannot see the self. They cannot see the self. The only thing that you can do at that time, at this moment, is till the body is there, is only witnessing consciousness. You can only remain as the Sakshi. Sakshi, who is Sakshi? Who is not disturbed by coming and going of the world. And the world being the waking, dream, and the deep sleep. World meaning, if your attention is on the various worlds because you have thought about them before you came to this point, so all the worlds also maybe they come in the mind. But you are not disturbed by anything because you are self oriented, not world oriented. This is how the great masters live. Anandamai Ma, Neem Karoli Baba, Ramakrishna Paramhans, Ramana Maharishi. And such people, and those who ya etad viduramritaste bhavanti, and those who come to know this, they attain to immortality. Where are we? How come? Now the what do you call? The bhashya is there. It's already 8:53. We won't be able to complete it. Next week, enough data, enough to keep us going, keep us contemplating, keep us dissolving ourselves. So today we saw the first verse was Avyakta tu parah purusho vyapakol alinga evacha yam nyatva muchyate jantuhu amrutatvam cha gacchati. Greater than unmanifest was the supreme person, and it is all pervasive by nature, and it does not have any sign or symptom or attribute or quality or form. No, it cannot be known by any sign. Yam nyatva muchyate jantu, and those who come to know it in this manner, amrutatvam cha gacchati, they attain to immortality. Then na sandrishe tishtati rupamasya na chakshusha pashyati kaschanainam hruda manisha manasa bhivrupto ya etad viduramritaste bhavanti. And this Atma, this Supreme Person, uh, the form of this Supreme Person cannot be accessed uh, by the uh, by the vision, and therefore it says na chakshusha pashyati kaschanainam. Nobody can see it with the eyes. In other words, none of the senses are capable of illuminating this Supreme Person. Because they are too gross. That's what we saw in Kathopanishad. So, can the mind come to know? No, the mind also cannot come to know because it is too fickle. Then how we will come to know? It can only become. You can only come to know when you apply your intellect to wean the mind away from the senses and the sense stimuli. And how do you do that? By contemplating on that which has no form. On contemplating on that which has got no form. If you don't understand that, then it's okay. Now understand from what the sequence was given: the senses, the intellect, the senses, behind them is the mind, behind the mind is the intellect. Then what is the intellect? How is the mind going to be brought under control? The intellect starts thinking of the total intellect. Then the mind will come, because why should I go to total intellect? I got so much fun here in this world. The mind is saying I can go through the senses and enjoy this world of all the five senses. What is there in if I go to the total intellect? It is told, if you go to the total intellect, all your desires will be fulfilled all the time. Acha, okay, chalo chalte hain. It will follow the intellect. So, another way to put it is, intellect is where the contemplation is, and mind is where the bhava is, where the feeling is, where the so these are the yin and yang of ours. Just like at the breath level, there is the left and the right nostril, ida pingla. You can call it yin and yang in breath. Similarly, in the mind also, the buddhi and intellect are the yin and yang, provided, and they're just put it in another way: buddhi and mind, aham and idam, they are the yin and yang. They coexist. They coexist. But the mind doesn't know that only the I can come to know, only the buddhi can come to know. So we want to play the game not at the individual level. Now we want to play the game at the total level. Chalo, but mind has to follow. The conviction has to be in the intellect to follow. So only then the mind will follow. If the intellect is not having the conviction, it will not follow. And who is at a relative level? Huh? Who is Brahmaji, Vishnu, and Mahesh? They are immortals at a relative level. They are immortals. Do they know about their infinite self, the Paramatma, the Supreme Person? Yes, they do. That's why they are all in meditation all the time. You see? So, Brahmaji is creating the creation, but continuously in meditation. So, he is not creating, he is just an instrument. And the Supreme is as if through his energy, you creating the creation, maintaining the creation, destroying the creation. This phenomena is going on. But what is the phenomena? That which exists in its own absence. We have told you this entire story. Don't get lost in the story. This is okay to understand how the world is. But our goal is not to get caught up in any aspect of the world, whether it is manifest or unmanifest, whether it is individual or total or unmanifest. No, our goal is only the Supreme Person. Make yourself qualified, make yourself refined, And that will only happen through single pointedness. When when you are, in spite of not knowing through any sign that truth, still you accept that truth. Still you accept that truth. You can say, I can come to know the mind, I have never seen the mind, but I accept, so I can accept the truth also. No, you know there is a mind because you are thinking. Yes, the question, what you say is correct. If your attention is on the form of the mind, then that will work. If your attention is on the thoughts, then it will not work. But if your attention is on the what is that container? Remember that example came, it came here or in Amrutama, I can't remember. That you put your attention, what is the what is this container in which the thoughts are coming and going? Where does it begin? Where does it end? How deep is it? Our problem is we think of the thoughts. I have to let go, I have to grow out of thoughts, I have to let go of thoughts. That this is also one exercise. Contemplate. What is the shape of the container called mind in which the thoughts are coming and going? Either you will go to sleep or you will be in meditation. You will be in with yourself. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Hari Om.